The hype around ZCash is slowly fading, and with that the price is coming down as well. Is this potentially a buying opportunity? Because ZCash has hit roughly $10 billion in market cap. There's still more than a 100x from here to flip Bitcoin. Just 1.5 months ago, the attention on ZCash was massive. This was the views of a video published 42 days ago, and it outperformed the average video on the channel, which is shown here in gray. More videos followed, and as time went on, the outperformance turned into underperformance. So a video on ZCash now gets less views compared to the average video on this channel. If I talk about a random altcoin, that video might get more attention than this video here. Now here's something interesting. This is the long-term ZCash price. And if you connect the bottoms, so the one from 2017, from 2020, and from 2024, we can find interesting parallels in the tops. That's in the literal sense. Have a look at how those two peaks align, or have a look at how the recent peak tends to also get very close alignment to the top prices in 2016. Now those price rallies were not just hype. There was actually more usage of the blockchain during those rallies, also during the recent rally. Have a look at the number of ZCash transactions over time. It tends to go up when the price rallies as well. And we have seen a massive spike just a few weeks ago. But we've come back down again, and that's not good. Because compare how the number of transactions for Ethereum developed over time. We've still got ZCash in the picture. It's barely visible. It's the red graph here at the bottom. For Ethereum, we saw relatively constant transaction growth, especially when it was still the size of ZCash. Let's overlay Bitcoin's number of transactions as well. Of course, it doesn't fluctuate as much as ZCash's activity fluctuates. And so that then begs the question, is this really long-term adoption of the ZCash blockchain, or is this just hype? Is this just attention getting into the asset and then getting out of the asset again? Is this an attention-driven asset that pumps and dumps and pumps and dumps? Similar to what meme coins do, for example. Of course, meme coins have no utility. ZCash does have privacy features, but still, the price discovery for meme coins happens mainly based on attention. The market cap peak for Fartcoin, for example, was close to $2 billion. The market cap peak for Bonk was close to $4 billion. The market cap peak for Trump was close to $9 billion. Is this just another kind of Trump, where ZCash has hit in the peak $10 billion and now it's going to deflate again? The same way as it did before, right? Where it went from 2 billion down to 200 million, a 90% drop, or over here from 3.7 billion down to 380 million, another 90% drop roughly. Are we going to see the 1 billion in ZCash's market cap? Now, I always like to look at relative evaluations because crypto moves in cycles. When Bitcoin goes up, when Ethereum goes up, then most altcoins tend to go up as well, at least the bigger ones. So we can't really say that an altcoin is particularly great just because the entire market is going up. So I like to look at relative valuations. How is ZCash in this case doing relative to other altcoins? And relatively speaking, we unfortunately saw underperformance for most of ZCash's history. This is ZCash relative to the others market cap. So the market cap of all the altcoins that are not in the top 10. And ZCash was just selling off all the time. And there was a turnaround then that happened in April of last year. So something is different from cycle to cycle. Many of those rallies just happened because all of crypto went up, but the recent rally was not just crypto appreciating. The recent rally was actually idiosyncratic to ZCash. It was a ZCash driven rally, not a macro driven rally. I don't really like doing it, but that's how the YouTube game works. That's how the algorithm works. Please give this video a like if what you've seen so far has been useful. Thank you very much. And yes, we've also seen the usage spiking much more than during those prior rallies. There was a lot of support by various entities in crypto that supported this ZCash rally. Right? There was a grayscale ETF conversion. There were purchases by the Winklevoss twins. But this created, again, a lot of attention. A lot of hype. And the question is, since the attention is now dying down, will the price follow? Will ZCash underperform again and potentially fall by 60, 70, 80 or even 90% again. What looks like a relatively constant price appreciation was actually two different rallies. And here is what I mean. At the beginning, we saw many people buy into ZCash. The funding rate on the perpetual futures market, so the levered bets on ZCash, was positive. There were more longs than shorts. People believed in the rally. But then the market changed. From the 22nd of October, so after the flash crash on the 10th of October, there were way more shorts than longs. In other words, the subsequent rally was a short squeeze. The market makers bought up more of ZCash in order to liquidate everybody that was betting on falling prices. The vast majority of short-term traders on the perpetual futures, on the derivatives market, were betting on falling prices. And so the pockets with most capital, they were able to buy up more of ZCash and liquidate everybody. When everybody got liquidated and the funding rate normalized again, that's when the market makers started to sell off their ZCash again. That's when the spot price tended to decline again. And so yes, ZCash did hit a new all-time high. And there is some growth, roughly a 2.5x from the 2021 peak. But a lot of that rally, especially the second part of the rally, was just short squeezes. It was just short-term manipulation. And the reason why I say this is not just because of the funding rates, it's also because of open interest. Open interest has grown much more than 2.5x from those peaks. Have a look at that. Open interest on ZCash in May 2021 was only $66 million. And it went then up to more than $1 billion. So roughly a 20x in open interest. The price did not do a 20x. It did a 2.5x. So there was a lot of inherent leverage in this ZCash rally. And so that's why I believe there might be quite a bit of trouble ahead for ZCash. The trading volume is going down as well. So that's a trading volume on the perpetual futures. And there is correlation between trading volume and price. When trading volume comes down, the price comes down as well. We have been in extreme heights in trading volume, and it's declining in the same fashion as the number of YouTube views is. The open interest isn't yet deleveraging to the same degree as the trading volume, but as the trading volume continues to fall, the open interest is very likely going to follow. And again, open interest and price is very highly correlated. If the amount of bets on an asset goes down, then the price tends to follow. The market makers got their short liquidations as anticipated. They made their money and now they're offloading their bag again. Let's also have a look at the on-chain metrics. There is a ported version of ZCash, of ZEC on the Binance Smart Chain. And here we've got almost 22,000 holders. On the left side, we see the number of holder development. So with the recent rally, we did see the number of holders doubling roughly. But once we include a minimum holding threshold, at least how many tokens need to be held in a wallet, and we set this to 2.5 tokens, so it's roughly $1,000 worth of the token, now the growth is much less severe. The number of holders on the Binance Smart Chain went up only by roughly 50%. It did not double. So the majority of buyers into the ZCash rally were just very small investors. They only had a few dollars worth of ZCash, not even $1,000. Once we increase this by another 10x, so $10,000, we haven't even seen an all-time high. So those kind of investors with more capital, they tended to stay away, especially in the last few days, as trading volume declines again and as attention declines again. And so I think it's very dangerous to hold a lot of ZCash right now. I do think that the price can come back down as it did several times in the past. We have hit the $10 billion mark, which is the peak for any attention-driven asset. We have seen 9 billion in Trump, but not more than that. And for ZCash to further go up from here without market manipulation, we have to see more usage. We have to see the number of transactions going back up again. But the number of transactions has already normalized. So I don't think that's the most likely scenario. Now, talk is cheap. It's easy to make YouTube videos say that the price will 10x or that we're going to see a crash. But really what matters is what's the long-term performance. Are those people publishing on YouTube actually outperforming the market? You might have noticed that the majority of YouTubers never share their numbers. They never say how much they've outperformed a benchmark. They never say how much better they performed relative to Bitcoin, relative to the S&P 500. But I do believe that this channel is different. I do share my numbers, at least the relative numbers. This is my net worth over the last 4 years. So this is a monthly chart. And of course, it does include dollar cost averaging. It does include saving from active income. But here's my trading portfolio, the line in black, relative to if I had just dollar cost averaged into Bitcoin. And this is really in the end what matters, right? Does your trading activity outperform the benchmark? Most altcoins tend to underperform Bitcoin most of the time, and you're able to achieve that performance over several years, and you're probably on the right track. There is a lot of volatility in returns though. This is the alpha, positive and negative, versus buying and holding Bitcoin for each single month. The dotted line over here, that's the 12-month average. So on average over the entire time frame, the alpha is 1.6% per month. Do you see any other YouTubers sharing those kinds of numbers? Most YouTubers just say that you should buy this coin or you should buy that coin. But the problem is, especially the smaller altcoins, they tend to underperform massively. This is the performance of some smaller altcoins over the course of the last year. Many of them went down by 70%, by 80%, even by 90%. And so chances are you did not outperform Bitcoin if you just followed that advice. Chances are you've lost 50, 60, 70%. Now, nobody can know for certain where a price is going. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we can play the probabilities. Some assets are more likely to go up, other assets are less likely to go up. And when it's about probabilities, we simply use statistics. I've optimized various backtests, checking out the best leverage ratios, checking out the best systematic trading rules that actually do outperform just buying and holding Bitcoin over the years. And so for everybody that's done with this kind of crypto advice that ends in losses anyways, I have made some videos, some tutorial videos that actually build skill. I'm also running exclusive Q&A sessions every now and then. You can ask me your questions directly in a live stream. And then if you want to dive deeper, you can also get into the individual trades. I share all of my trades directly as well in real time. So looking very much forward to seeing you in the premium membership. The link to premium pops up here on the screen. Just click on that. It will lead you to the website. If it's the very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. See you next time on YouTube or see you in premium. Cheers.